Santino knows it, but in about 1989, one time I wrestled about 11 or 12-hour draws in a row. And I was in Florida, and of course I didn't go to bed when I was in Florida. Who does, right? You know, I just got up and worked out, went to the arena, and wrestled another hour. And I just wrestled a guy named Butch Reed. Remember Butch Reed? Yeah. In Orlando, and I had about 10 stitches in my head, and I was tired. I had to leave for Tokyo the next day to wrestle 5 consecutive hour-long matches with Saruda and Tenryu and Domo Saruda, Tenryu, and I can't think of the other guy on All Japan back then. No, Joshua was with New Japan. I have wrestled with them. There's nobody I haven't wrestled, brother, okay? So, man, I was cracked, and I called my dad. My dad was a doctor, you know, and he lived in Minneapolis. I called him from payphone, and I said, Dad, I said, God, my heart's beating like crazy. I said, do you think there's something wrong with me? He said, yeah, but when's the last time you went to bed? And I had to think about that for a minute, you know. Probably a month ago, you know, who knows? So the next morning I got up in Tampa, and I flew from Tampa to Chicago, and I got on number 3 on Northwest. I used to have to memorize. It was number 3 going over, number 4 coming back. And man, I drank all the way to Tokyo, and I cracked. I just cracked, you know, 14 hours, I cracked. I said, I can't do it. I was just, mentally, I was exhausted. So back then he gave us first class round trip tickets. So I just walked across the corridor, and I could hear Baba's wife going, Ric Flair son, report to baggage claim, and I just bought a ticket back to the States. I just turned the ticket in my head. And a half hour later, I was on a plane going back. I slept my luggage, I said, shit. And I flew all the way back through Seattle to Chicago to Charlotte. And of course, I got hammered going back too. I met some guy and told him my life story 5 times. He kept me alive. He must have thought I was nuts. He sent me a Christmas card for about 10 years. You okay? I said, no. I got off the plane in Charlotte, and Jimmy Crockett, who was the president of NWA, and he said, you got to go back to Tokyo. So goddamn, if I didn't be back an hour later, go to Charlotte, Chicago, and fly all the way back. And I had to wrestle an hour. I landed at the airport at 4 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, I was in the ring for an hour. So I made it through that first night. I said, shit. So I got drunk again, you know, and stayed 5 more days. But that's one of the stories that's legendary, you know. The women thing, that's easy. You know, I'm 0 for 4 in that department. I do not give marital advice to anybody.
Rick, there's another question we have for you. There's a rumor about something crazy that happened with you and Terry Funk.
Which time? Which one?
Something about you fisticuffs with him on a street corner or at an intersection?
No, it's more about Terry Funk than me, so I don't want to tell him Terry at all.
Okay.
He was a world champion, and I was driving around, and he got drunk, and I got drunk, and next thing I knew, my wife threw myself out in the front yard, and we were at the hotel. I don't want to tell you what Terry did.
All right, we're going to ask you a couple of quick questions here. One of them, could you recall a moment in your childhood that inspired you to become the Nature Boy?
I think I was 11 years old and she was 23. Actually, I was a lifeguard and I was 15 and she was 32. I was teaching her kids how to swim. Pretty soon she was teaching me. So her husband came home. In front of my dad. That wasn't very cool. So, yep, that's the first time I thought I might really get a Nature Boy.
All right, here's one. Out of your title wins, which one stands out most in your mind?
Well, obviously the first one was really awesome, but I think winning it again in Starrcade, the first Starrcade against Harley. The first time was kind of like, it was so competitive to become the world champ back then. 10 people voted, you know. It was one of those things that I got in. And, you know, that a year later, I dropped it back to Harley in St. Louis, and then About 8 months after I got it back in Greensboro. That's really what launched my championship career, you know. Being a one-time, there's a lot of one-time guys, Tommy Rich, you know, down the line. And, but when I got it back the second time, I was prepared for it. I knew what I was doing, and I was prepared to prove who I was.
What is the best piece of advice anyone has ever given you?
The best piece of advice anybody's ever given me? Boy. I've had a lot of advice over the years. Well, the best piece going I hear all the time now is don't get married. Again, you're talking about wrestling. I guess the one thing that stands out is Ray Stevens told me. I don't know if you know Ray Stevens, but in my mind, he was stage for the greatest performer I ever saw. And I idolized him. And he said, the day you don't have butterflies going out to that ring, don't go. And he was right. You don't give a shit, you're not excited and nervous, you're not gonna bring what you need to bring to entertain the fans, and to have the best match you could possibly have that night.
Thank you. Here's another one for you. Is there currently a wrestler out there that you feel might possibly be the next Ric Flair?
No.